The doorbell rang in the new spacious apartment that Masha had bought just a month ago. Strange. I'm not expecting anyone. Dimka is at school. Who could it be? I need to tell the concierge to warn me about unexpected visitors. What are we even paying her for? People just don't want to work anymore. Masha reluctantly tore herself away from her laptop, where she was finishing work on a new design project. The deadline was looming, the client was getting nervous, and she needed to fix all the issues quickly and deliver the project. She opened the heavy custom-made door and was surprised. No, she was stunned, even shocked by what she saw. At first, she thought she was mistaken. So unkempt was the person standing on the landing. But then looking closer, she realized it really was her former mother-in-law, Lydia Emilevna. Well, well, what a meeting. Honestly, I never thought I'd have to see you again. To what do I owe the honor of a visit from such an esteemed person? Masha asked, barely restraining the urge to slam the door in the woman's face. Hello, Mashenka. May I come in? It's uncomfortable to talk in the hallway. There was no trace left of the arrogance and pride that once defined Lydia Emilevna. And what brings you here, Lydia Emilevna? You never considered me a person. Has something changed? Though, judging by your appearance, a lot has changed. Masha continued, not inviting the woman inside. I beg you, Maria, please hear me out. Oh, you're begging? You can even do that? How surprising. I thought you only knew how to command people and humiliate them. The defenseless, the weak, those who couldn't stand up for themselves. Masha, please, I feel terrible. The elderly woman began to cry. Come in, Maria relented, unable to watch people cry. But I'm warning you, you have 5 minutes, no more. I have work to do. And by the way, who gave you my address? Lydia Emilevna looked around the stylishly designed interior of her former daughter-in-law's home with great interest. It was obvious she was taken aback by the beauty and luxury of the apartment's furnishings. She walked into the living room and sat down on the couch. Maria stood nearby, deliberately not sitting, making it clear that the uninvited guest could not expect a long conversation. Good people helped me find your address. Thank them for that. How beautiful it is here, Mashenka. Who would have thought you could earn enough for such an apartment? Of course, you thought I was worthless. Not good enough for you and your precious son. You made sure to remind me of that at every opportunity. A girl from the suburbs, from a simple family, dared to enter your noble lineage. I remember your talks about some ancestral title, passed down from ancestors who were close to Empress Maria Feodorovna herself, Masha said with a condescending smile, enjoying every word. And where is my grandson, Dimka? The woman ignored her former daughter-in-law's hostility. And why do you care? You haven't remembered him for 16 years. What's changed? Sudden family feelings? Masha asked with fresh sarcasm. I have the right. I'm his grandmother. Lydia Emilevna straightened her back proudly, remembering her noble origins. Dmitri is at school. He's in his final year. And if you came here hoping to rebuild a relationship with him, let me assure you, it's pointless. Dima doesn't even want to hear about his father or about you, Maria said with obvious satisfaction. I need your help, Masha. I'm in trouble, the uninvited guest whispered. Help? From me? Are you serious? Lydia Emilevna, how could you stoop so low? Asking for help from an unworthy pauper, an uneducated, uncultured commoner. You with noble blood in your veins? Masha kept smiling. She was experiencing an incredible emotional high. There is justice in the world after all. The moment had finally come when Masha could look down on the woman who had nearly ruined her life. Maria, who had achieved everything on her own, now had the power to decide whether to show mercy or not to the former mother-in-law who had come begging for help. Masha had always dreamed of becoming a designer. In their small town near St. Petersburg, no one had even heard of such a profession, but she knew it was what she wanted to do. She studied hard to get into university on her own and earn a free education. Her parents, who had worked their whole lives at a local furniture factory, couldn't afford to support her. There were 2 younger siblings in the family. When she arrived in the big city, Masha was initially overwhelmed. But after meeting other applicants, she quickly adapted. She got into university and took a job as a waitress to support herself. She lived in a dormitory where everything was shared, and somehow they managed to get by. Then she met Georgi. She couldn't say it was love at first sight, but there was something about him that caught her attention. He was different from anyone she had known before. That strangeness, that uniqueness, he intrigued her. They spent hours walking through the beautiful streets and embankments of St. Petersburg. Georgi passionately told her about historical buildings, the famous people who had lived in them, and then he shared that he was a descendant of a noble family. Masha wasn't particularly impressed. Yeah, right. What kind of nobleman is he? Just an ordinary guy, like everyone else. A bit pompous, maybe, but that's probably just how he was raised, she thought. Their friendship turned into love. Georgi confessed his feelings and invited her to meet his mother. They lived in a grand old apartment with stucco ceilings and a massive fireplace, in a building dating back to the 18th century. Greetings, young lady, his mother greeted her coldly. My name is Lydia Emilevna. And you? Masha. Maria, she stammered, taken aback by the icy reception. A worthy name. But everything else. The woman's gaze swept over Masha's simple clothes, sneakers, and hair tied back with a plain rubber band, filled with disdain. Mom, stop scaring my Masha, Georgi interjected. Who's scaring her? She just needs to understand who we are and who she is, his mother declared. From that day on, she did everything she could to separate them. But Georgi didn't listen. After the wedding, they lived with Lydia Emilevna. She never openly fought with Masha, fearing her son's reaction, but her every word and action dripped with contempt. Even the birth of a grandson didn't soften her heart. One day, Masha came home to find her husband with another woman in their bedroom. His mother and her guests just laughed. That was the last straw. Masha left with her son, cast out into the cold autumn night with nothing. She endured poverty, worked 2 jobs, nearly lost her son to pneumonia. But she survived. She got her degree, built a successful career, and finally bought her dream home. And now the woman who had thrown her out was sitting before her, begging. Masha, please, we're drowning in debt. Soon we'll be homeless. Could you help us? Number never. Not a chance. Masha, you have to forgive. I don't have to do anything. Get out. And don't come back. Lydia Emilevna slumped and left. Outside, Georgi was waiting. So? Will she give us money? Number. She remembers everything. Damn her. Who would have thought she'd make it? And now she lives in luxury. That little country girl. Guess we'll have to go beg at the Fund for Noble Descendants, Georgi sighed. Yeah, guess we will.